Kamala Harris has decided not to pick Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro as her running mate. He had been in the mix since Harris entered the race 2 weeks ago. Shapiro boasts high popularity in the key battleground state, but his more conservative views in support of Israel and its campaign in Gaza was a certain point of contention among progressives who do not want the effort to continue to support Israel. The 51-year-old Jewish governor got pushback recently on an unearthed Philadelphia Inquirer op-ed he penned decades ago when he said there will never be peace in the Middle East. Here is Shapiro addressing that at an event at the University of Pennsylvania a few days ago. Let's watch.
I have said for years, long before October 7th, that I favor a two-state solution. Israelis and Palestinians living peacefully side by side. It is my hope that we can see a day where peace will reign in the Middle East, where there will be a two-state solution, where all leaders involved in the conversations will respect the other side and show a willingness to make the hard choices to find peace. And I hope that the U.S. government will always be a partner in peace and trying to find a path forward.
Shapiro faced scrutiny a few months ago when campus pro-Gaza protests erupted. He called for encampments to be dismantled, drawing more criticism. Check out this CNN interview that he did in the spring. Let's listen.
I think what's important is that we can't allow peaceful protest about a disagreement on policy happening in the Middle East to be an excuse for anti-Semitism or Islamophobia on these campuses. What I see from afar at some universities, including Columbia, is a situation that is completely out of control. And it's incumbent upon the university leadership to get it under control quickly.
In the months since, he's pivoted, focused almost entirely on potential rival JD Vance. Let's watch.
I'll say this about JD Vance. It is real hard being honest with the American people when you're not being honest with yourself. JD Vance is a total phony baloney. He is the most inorganic candidate I think I have ever seen on the national stage. He doesn't know what he believes, and that is why it is impossible for him to articulate a coherent message to the American people, because he doesn't believe it.
Was this pick a mistake? Statistician Nate Silver has not shied away from saying that he does think so. He posted on X on August 3rd that she should pick Shapiro, and he's written subsequently that that was the strongest choice. Conservatives certainly think Shapiro got passed over precisely because of his Jewishness being offensive to the far left. That's what they think. Newsweek's Josh Hammer wrote on X, Kamala passed on Josh Shapiro out of fear of the Democratic Party's Hamas-Hezbollah wing. Democrat elites are terrified of the keffiyeh-clad radicals in Dearborn. That says everything you need to know about Kamala and the modern Democratic Party. Republican former New York gubernatorial candidate Lee Zeldin said similarly, it's amazing that despite America's right, left, and center all agreeing, Josh Shapiro was Harris's best pick for VP. At the end of the day, Shapiro being Jewish disqualified him. It says so much about the state of today's Democratic Party. Now, on the other side of the aisle, progressive commentator Mark Lamont Hill has taken the opposite view, writing on X, this is a very winnable election for Kamala Harris, but it would not have been had she chosen Shapiro. Too many recently energized voters would have been deflated again. I'm so glad her team saw that. I'm even more glad that people stood up and spoke out rather than accepting. So it is the case that everybody seems excited about this pick for opposite reasons. Left-leaning people are, like yourself, are excited because you appreciate his record and his ideology and think he'll be a really strong addition to the ticket. And as we've covered previously, conservatives think they have a better case to make of Walz being very progressive, and they're going to, be making the argument that Shapiro was passed over because of his identity, because there's something discomforting about Jewish identity to this iteration of the modern Democratic Party, or the Democratic Party is humoring left-wing pro-Gaza radical people.
Yeah, I think that, this attack line that Shapiro wasn't picked because of his identity is funny when they were mad very recently that Kamala might have been picked because of her identity. Also, his Jewishness, obviously not the reason. Again, Kamala Harris's husband is Jewish. he didn't have as much experience as Walz, who's been a governor for longer and who's served in public office in a way where he was writing and delivering on policy, which I think a lot of people want to see. Kamala Harris has the background of being an AG. Tim Walz brings a bit of a different expertise, having been in the House, than Shapiro could have. But he's still campaigning. He's doing a rally today in Pennsylvania. He's very likely going to be in the administration in some way. He very obviously wants Kamala Harris to win. He's not attacking JD Vance because he thought he would be VP. He's attacking JD Vance because he has a different political position than JD Vance, and he wants the Democrats to win. Also because he might be in the cabinet. I think it makes sense that someone with more experience, someone who is more popular in the country, is the VP pick. It almost seems obvious, and it's very striking to me that a lot of the Republicans that are upset about it are the Republicans that were already handedly, going for Trump. And the fact that those people wanted Shapiro on the ticket tells me a lot about who actually should be on the ticket as VP. But I got a reply this morning to one of my tweets about, Walz being the pick. And he's a Republican. His name is Trey. He said, "Let's go. As a Republican, I'm so excited for this. Governor Walz was my first choice." And because he won in a district that's 60% Republican, 35% Democrat, I think he's someone that a lot of these never Trump Republicans are really going to take to.
That remains to be seen. I'm not so sure, but we'll obviously be hearing more from him in the coming weeks. I certainly hope there's a debate, and I expect JD Vance is willing to do a debate, and Walz is as well, on some of these issues, on their backgrounds, on everything of that nature. It'll be interesting to see. I also hope the Kamala Harris Donald Trump debate ends up happening. That's a little bit in doubt at the moment. Jessica, do you think young people on the Democratic side are really excited about this pick? And, is there going to be a lot of a flood of annoying to me, but probably enjoyable to you and your people on your side, kind of social media content about him forthcoming?
Yeah, I think, a lot of people saw Shapiro as someone who's not a good pick because of what he said about young people who are protesting on college campuses. When people are really in the anti-war movement, protesting for peace, not wanting to live in a country where the majority of public spending time and again is going to defense. And I think they saw Shapiro as someone who didn't represent the ideals of the youths in a way that Tim Walz does. And so I think I'm so glad that people made their opinion known on Walz, that he became such a popular figure through his media hits, through people reposting his videos. He's someone who posts on social media a lot, and people want that transparency with leaders now, especially young people who are not always watching the cable news hits. They like that they can see him and get to know him on social media. So yeah, I think it's going to inject a lot of energy into the campaign, but having Shapiro campaign around Pennsylvania to make sure Kamala wins in PA is going to be huge. I'm glad to see that he's doing that, but Walz is really our guy in ensuring the youth vote continues to turn out in increasingly high numbers. I really do think, even though he's got white hair, he is the guy to do it.
We shall see. Stay tuned for more Rising right after this.